Well, good morning. We are on the road today, driving from our apartment in Ziggy over to Pathos, which is on the west side of the island. And I thought it would be an excellent time to give you a wrong side of the road tutorial on driving. There are many things to take into consideration when you're driving on what we would call the wrong side of the road. And one of the most important things you can do is when you get into the car, make sure you are on the correct side of the car where the steering wheel is. As you can see here, I am in in the passenger seat, which we would normally think of as the driver's seat. And I must tell you that while it hasn't happened to me, I have heard that people, out of force of habit, as they get into the car, they open the door and sit down, only to find out there's no steering wheel or anything on the floor resembling pedals, and have to sheepishly get out of the car and go around to the correct side. Like I say, it's never happened to me, but I could see that happening to someone less worldly than I am. So some of the other things you have to consider when you're driving from the right-hand side, as Kara is today, is that you're on the right side of the car, sweetie. Okay. Is that when you're on a 4-lane expressway, the left-hand lane is the slow lane, and the right lane is the fast lane. So if you find yourself driving along in what you think is the slow lane and people are constantly honking at you and making rude gestures, it's because you are now in the fast lane over here and mucking things up tremendously. So other things to consider are that speed limits and speed limit signs and everything is in kilometers over here. So if you have an app on your phone that you use for traveling and driving, things like that, it's best to change it to kilometers because it's confusing enough without having to try to do the math in your head from miles to kilometers and things like that, or kilometers, as we like to call them over here. Another thing that's useful is that you have a navigator, and it's more difficult than you can imagine to be concentrating on driving when everything is backwards to you, and it helps a great deal to have a navigator to say, okay, we're going to come up to this roundabout and we're going to enter the roundabout at 6 p.m. on the clock dial, and we're going to exit at 9 p.m. or 3 p.m. Give some kind of visual clues as to what's going on. But we've been here for probably 4 or 5 weeks now and have gotten really acclimated to driving on the left side of the road. It takes a lot of vigilance, and if you're a good driver in the United States, after a few days you'll be a good driver over here. If you're a bad driver in the United States, you're going to be a really terrible driver over here. So it's best for you not even to get behind the wheel. But I will say that as a passenger, sitting in what would normally be the driver's seat, it's very weird because you don't have the steering wheel, you don't have the brake pedal and the accelerator. And more than once, I've reached up to grab a steering wheel. I haven't, but I've heard that people do that. That reach up and grab a steering wheel that's not there, or reach for the brake that's not there. So all in all, I hope this tutorial has been something you can take lessons from. And I'll probably do another one when we get into town and give you the full experience of going through a roundabout with 5 different entrance and exits and cars flying everywhere. And, it's a really enlightening experience. Au revoir.